Welcome aboard the Bio Train. In this video, we're going to take it straight from the notebook with chemical bonds and representing molecules. Atoms combine together to make molecules or compounds. They do this by bonding with each other. There are two main types of bonds, covalent bonds and ionic bonds. Covalent bonds are bonds that form when atoms share electrons. These are the strongest bonds. There are three types of covalent bonds: single covalent bonds, double covalent bonds, and triple covalent bonds. Ionic bonds form when atoms lose or gain electrons and become positively or negatively charged ions. These positive and negative ions are attracted to each other, forming ionic bonds. In biology, these bonds are thought of as weaker bonds. There are different ways to represent molecules. The easiest way to represent a molecule is with a chemical formula. A chemical formula tells you the number and types of atoms that are in a molecule. For example, the chemical formula for methane is CH4. It tells us that there is one carbon and four hydrogens in a methane molecule. Notice how if there is not a subscript after the symbol, that means there is one of that atom in that molecule. Using CH4 as an example, there is no subscript after the C, meaning there is one carbon atom in a molecule of methane. The second way to represent a molecule is with a structural formula. A structural formula tells you the number and types of atoms in a molecule, but it also shows how those atoms are bonded together. Using methane CH4 as our example, you can see that the structural formula shows that there is one carbon and four hydrogens, but it also shows that each of the four hydrogens has a single covalent bond with the carbon atom. The last way to represent a molecule is with a Bohr model. Bohr models aren't used to represent molecules very often, but they show the number and type of atoms in a molecule. They show how the atoms are bonded together, and they also show how the atoms share electrons. This Bohr model of methane shows the same information as a structural formula. It shows that there is one carbon and four hydrogen atoms, and that each hydrogen atom has a single covalent bond with the carbon atom. The single covalent bond is shown by the outer energy level of the hydrogen overlapping the outer energy level of the carbon and the sharing of one pair of electrons. There are two types of chemical bonds, covalent bonds and ionic bonds. Covalent bonds are formed when atoms share electrons. In biology, we consider these the stronger bonds. There are three types of covalent bonds: single bonds, double bonds, or triple bonds. The second type of bond is an ionic bond. Atoms either lose or gain electrons and become positive and negative ions, and then these ions are attracted to each other to form ionic bonds. In biology, we consider these the weaker bonds. You can represent a molecule with a chemical formula, a structural formula, and sometimes even a Bohr model. The chemical formula shows the number and types of atoms in the molecule. A structural formula shows the number and types of atoms in the molecule and how they are bonded together. And a Bohr model shows the number and types of atoms in the molecule, how they are bonded together, and the way that they share electrons. I hope that helps you stay comfortably seated on the Bio Train.